Thank you, Dr. Munzu. Today is actually the 16th of February 2026 here in the UK. It's already the 16th, but I'm sure it's still the 15th for you in the US. And we've just discussed about the Federation, we've discussed about the referendum. And like I say, in my opinion, the referendum, if I were President Amadu Ahijo, to be quite honest, there would have been no need for a referendum. I would have just done what I did, approach the Federal National Assembly with a proposal to amend the Constitution and go about it that way. But he took the time to go to the people and get the support of the people. And this is another point that you raised in 1995, Dr. Munzu. Let me access my laptop quickly because I want to give you the direct quote of what you said so that I see if we can have an understanding or agreement or disagreement on that. You said talking about the referendum, you said both the French-speaking and English-speaking Cameroonians took part. And because 80% of the population was French-speaking Cameroonians, that means the result of the referendum was loaded in advance. Now, as someone who did not take part in the referendum, as a matter of fact, I was not even born yet, but you were. You probably voted, or maybe you were not in the country. Can you tell us what the situation was like in West Cameroon in 1972, 20th of May, how the vote went, what the results were? Just West Cameroon, please.
No, I can't. I mean, I'm not in a position to tell you that because I wasn't there in 1972. In July of May, for that matter, May of 1972, I was a student in the UK, so I wasn't an actor in all of this. And at this point, me, just like you, have to rely on what we've read, what we've heard, what we analyze, and so on. But I was not a living witness of whatever happened in 1972.
Okay, thank you. Now, from my limited research, and I say limited because it's not extensive, what I gather is that more than 90% of the population in West Cameroon voted for the referendum in favor of abolishing the federal form of government. And I can understand.
Yes, but that would be. I mean, but Titus, let's be serious. That would be easy to understand if you didn't have to be present to deduce what would happen. We are in May of 1972.
Yes.
And since September 1st, 1966, all of Cameroon
one-party system
is operating under the auspices of a one-party system. Okay, and that one party, the national chairman of that one party, the CNU, is Amadou Ahijo.
Yes.
Who is president of the republic, who is commander of the armed forces, and
yes.
so on and so forth. So, if you like, the number one, from the moment that Ahijo secured the establishment of that one party state. I say secured because, as we said, I mean, they could have been pushed back especially from West Cameroon. There wasn't, but from the moment that he secured the establishment of the one party state, what did that mean for West Cameroon?
No powers.
West Cameroon was that West Cameroon no longer had a political machinery for making its voice heard, because the parliamentarians in the West Cameroon House of Assembly became from September 1966. They became the parliamentarians endorsed by the CNU, Ahijo's party. Okay.
Yes.
With all that entailed in terms of the party disciplinary machinery dangling over the head of every one of them. So all those people became CNU parliamentarians in the West Cameroon House of Assembly. Okay?
Okay.
The ones in Yaoundé, in the Federal House, of course, the same thing. They all became CNU members of parliament. So let's not gloss over that. We can argue in terms of if these people had meant business and they had seen it coming, yes, they should have stood up. I mean, following the attempt that people like Augustin Gomjwa, Prime Minister for 2 years or so in Boya, took that stand. He took that stand, but he paid a price for it because those who chose to collaborate with Ahidjo connived to get him out. So
the
whole
infighting
situation is quite complex, and but let us recognize the fact that in May of 1972, as a result of the abolition of all political parties except the CNU, the West Cameroon politicians had no alternative platform on which to stand.
Okay. Thank you so much for making that point abundantly clear. And it goes to explain what actually transpired in May of 1972, because like I said, from my limited research that I've done, it was very clear, like you said, even when Augustin Gomjwa tried to stand up and take a stand and try to challenge the status quo and the situation in the country, it was only people from West Cameroon, like you said, the people who paid allegiance to the CNU, to President Amadou Ahidjo, who circumvented and went behind his back and got him removed, like Estimuna. Let's call their names. And then Estimuna was then appointed Prime Minister of West Cameroon, and the same time, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Cameroon. These are facts, right?
Yeah, these are facts. These are facts, and these are facts which, as I said earlier, illustrate the effectiveness with which Ahidjo took advantage
of the infighting in West Cameroon.
Number one, the greed. The selfishness, and number two, the lack of organization amongst politicians of West Cameroon. He had a scheme right from the beginning in terms of projecting himself as the undisputed leader of Cameroon, of independent Cameroon, and that began from when the French Cameroons got its independence. By October of 1961, when we had unification, inside Republic of Cameroon, from its accession to independence on the 1st of January 1960 to reunification effective 1st of October 1961, in that period of nearly 2 years, Ahidjo succeeded in eliminating
all political opposition,
all intents and purposes of opposition in French Cameroon,
under the guise of fighting the Maquisards.
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah. So
Dr. Munzu, all of these things.
The only thorn that he had in his flesh was when we had reunification, and then the West Cameroon was claiming its specificities and affirming itself and all of that, seeking to be treated specially and so on and so forth. And if you consider that concessions that Ahidjo will be making in terms of in the area of civil liberties, in the area of sense of autonomy and so on, for West Cameroon, those concessions were not made to East Cameroon, and he was in a very uncomfortable posture there of someone who appeared to be treating the Anglophones, strange as that may sound, better than the Francophones. Don't forget that while we asserted our autonomy with our parliamentary and governmental institutions in Boya, even though theoretically there was a government of East Cameroon, Federated State of East Cameroon, a parliament of the Federated State of East Cameroon, but again, the officials and the parliamentarians were all members of Ahidjo's Union Camerounese, the UC.
Yes.
Yeah, the UC. So inside East Cameroon, the opposition had been completely suppressed.
Yes.
And that you contrast that with the buoyant sense of Anglophones asserting their specificities and all of that in West Cameroon.
Okay.
Ahidjo, for him,
Dr.
this was
Munzu.
going to be only temporary, and methodically, step by step, he enlarged his authority, shrunk the authority of Buea, and you would think that the Southern Cameroonians, the West Cameroonian authorities, were too blind or too selfish to see that coming, but it came.
Okay, that is, I like how you answer my questions even before I ask them, because I was about, no, honestly, because I was about to ask you, based on what you've just narrated, from the 1st of January 1960, when President Ahmadou Ahidjo strong-armed himself to become head of state and president of a new country, and he went on to literally wipe out the opposition in the newly independent Republic of Cameroon, former French Cameroon. All of these things, and the Makiza War, the rebels, in the Bamilekes and the Bassa rebels, and all of those things, they were not happening in a vacuum. They were not happening in a distant planet. All of these things were happening at our doorsteps. John Go Foncha was aware, Endele was aware, Mbile, and Tumaza, and all of these characters that we've come to learn about in our history in the former Southern Cameroons. They were aware of all of this. You concluded succinctly by saying that maybe our leaders were too blind, or I would say inept, to read the tea leaves and understand what is happening. As you said, while democracy was buoyant and thriving in the Anglophone part of the country where debates could be had, oppositions existed, and a difference of opinion was welcome, none of that existed in East Cameroon. And instead of protecting that, what did our people do? They willingly, and like you said, yes, the political dispensation at the time was that they were fighting amongst themselves, and President Ahmadou Ahidjo just took advantage of the situation. But he could not have taken advantage of the situation if we were united in purpose to defend that buoyant democracy, that buoyant opposition, and democracy or democratic principles in West Cameroon. It was not important.
Yeah, no, I mean we were not united in purpose, and again, just as analysis of if you like historical analysis, we like to boast that we in Southern Cameroons, West Cameroon had a democratic system at inception and so on and so forth. But people tend to forget that the autonomy of the establishment of the quasi region of Southern Cameroons within the colonial Federation of Nigeria happened only in 1954, 1955. Okay. In other words, barely 6 or 7 years before unification and the establishment of the Federal Republic of Cameroon. Is what I'm saying. So we had what we claim to have been this big democracy, blah 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 blah, for a period of some 5 or 6 years, maximum 7 years.
Yes.
Then came the additional, I think 11 years from 1961 to
72
to 1972, during which Ahidjo effectively inch by inch dominated the scene.
Okay.
And much of that time was spent by Southern Cameroon's politicians
fighting amongst themselves,
wrangling with each other.
Thank you.
You know, yes. I mean, even in the context of their participation in the establishment of the Nigerian constitutions that prior to Nigeria gaining independence, they were all at daggers drawn. The heated arguments, especially after the KNDP was created, by people who came out of Ndeli's
KNC.
KNC, before it became CPNC and all of that. KNC, Foncha came out of that, Muna came out of that, Jua came out of that, so the seeds of this dissension were sown, and then the way during those few years when there was a government of West Cameroon in Boya,
it was still infighting.
The records show that there was so much complaint about the way the things were run, animosity in terms between what we call today North and Southwest and all of that, which generated things like Vikuma and so on.
Yes.
So we like to paint the picture of a glorious Southern Cameroon's West Cameroon, but it was far from that.
Dr. Munzu,
it was far from that.
In your opinion, based on what you've just narrated in the past few minutes, in your opinion, if you were the British or you were one of the voting members at the General Assembly in 1960-61, would you, faced with the reality of what you've just narrated, would you say the territory of the former Southern Cameroons was ripe for independence as a sovereign nation?
Well, I mean, the answer to that question is neither here nor there.
Yeah, I'm not asking for opinion. I'm asking for opinion.
The reason I say that, I'm not trying to dodge anything. I'm not trying to dodge anything, but I'm trying to lay a premise here.
Yes.
The reason I say that is that the same United Kingdom that you are referring me to, in the history of decolonization, granted full independence to several territories in its previous, which it previously held as colonies, which, even by the standards of those days, were smaller in size, had a fewer population,
yes,
and were using the economic argument that they projected forward, were even less, had even less economic potential than Southern Cameroons had.
I put to you this, Dr. Munzu. It's not. I'm talking about the political maturity of the people in Southern Cameroons. Not just. I'm not even talking about the economic and the reasons they put forward by saying that we were not economically viable to be independent. In my personal opinion, looking back at what transpired, I wouldn't have given independence to this territory. They were not mature enough. They were not ready to be a sovereign nation. Yeah, they were not ready. I don't think so.
Yeah, but the point I'm making is that yes, that is true. But that if you use the same parameters in your analysis, you'll find that there were many British territories which, even in terms of what we're calling political maturity, were less mature than the Southern Cameroons.
Granted,
so I wouldn't give that one to the British.
Yes, I'm not trying to absolve them of their responsibilities of what they did or did not do in the Southern Cameroons, and obviously there is also this argument that people have made, especially from the separatist side, about, for example, the treatment that the former Southern Cameroons got from the Trusteeship Council, from the United Nations, from the British. Obviously, we know that the case of the Southern Cameroons was not unique, nor was it peculiar. There were other territories, just like you've mentioned, there were other territories that were smaller in size and population and everything else that were granted full independence. But there were also other territories, for example, the German Togoland, that experienced almost identical situation to what German Cameroon experienced. One part, the French Togoland, ascended to full independence. The other part the British Togoland, as it is the British Cameroons as well, the British decided that the British Togoland was not viable to be independent and had to join Ghana or join French Togoland. Just like they came to Southern Cameroons and to the British Cameroons and did the same thing, that the British Cameroons had to join Nigeria or join Cameroon because it was not viable. So the point I'm making here is that our people tend to have this tunnel vision where they think that everything that has happened to us happened in a vacuum. It has never happened anywhere else. You know, our case is the most unique. I don't think so.
That's why. You know, as I pointed out at the beginning of this crisis, and especially at the beginning of the separatist call for separation and independence and all of that, I pointed out that if they went down that route, they were not likely to have support from anyone in the international community. And 10 years later, they have yet to get a single member state of the UN speaking for them or offering to stand to speak for, you know, on their behalf in any of these international circles. When we observe an African country like Gambia going on the international scene to defend the aspirations of people in I think it was Myanmar or
yes,
also
Burma,
when you find
former Burma,
South Africa
defending the people of Palestine.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, when you see examples like that, and to think that in the international community, no country, big or small, on whichever continent, has touched this separatist thing with the longest pole, you begin to see why.
What we call a barge pole.
Yeah. So for the international community, it's a done deal. Our people in a plebiscite organized by the UN voted, as the UN qualifies it, overwhelmingly to achieve independence by joining the Republic of Cameroon. That's done. It's done. It's done. The international community is not going to relitigate that. But 10 years into this crisis, you still find all these
arguments.
The apologists of separation and so-called independence keep trying to relitigate the decolonization of the Southern Cameroons.
Okay,
it won't happen. We're not going to return to that because for the world, it's done. That doesn't mean that if we in Cameroon organize ourselves to present a good case in terms of making adjustments internally based on the way in which our internal governance has gone these past 60 years. I mean, people can feel aggrieved and make a case for redressing things, which they can succeed to get sympathy from the international community. But sympathy for separation, independence, forget it, it won't happen.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Simon Munzu. I'm going to pause the recording now, and then I want to ask you one last question, and then we conclude. Sorry for taking too much of your time. Okay, Dr. Munzu, you've just mentioned about the international community, that separation is a done deal. So are you telling us that the trusteeship agreement was terminated? Is that a yes or no?
Of course it was terminated.
Fantastic. Because
the trusteeship agreement between the United Nations and the United Kingdom for the administration of the British Southern Cameroons was terminated.
When?
The trusteeship agreement between those same two parties for the administration of British Northern Cameroon was terminated. The trusteeship agreement between the United Nations and France for the administration of what came to be termed French Cameroon, so today's Francophone Cameroon, was terminated, yes.
Thank you so much for clearing that up. The reason I ask is because our people are still, would you believe it? Our people are still confused about this little reality. They would not accept it that the trusteeship agreement has been terminated. So you also mentioned that decolonization is done. So what international body or organization had the powers to decolonize the Cameroons under British administration?
It was the United Nations, of course. I mean, Cameroon under British administration was a UN trust territory. So the United Kingdom administered this territory
on behalf of the UN,
on trust, if you like, on behalf of the United Nations.
Okay,
and it was within the framework of specific legal instruments. Number one, the provisions of Article 76B of the United Nations Charter, dealing with the mission, if you like, the mission entrusted to administering authorities, with respect to UN trust territories. But then more specific. So that is general, okay?
Yes.
But more specifically, and for our territory, the British Cameroons, there was the trusteeship agreement between the United Nations and the United Kingdom for the administration of British Cameroons. So if you like, the obligations of the administering authority under that legal instrument, the trusteeship agreement, were owed not to the people of the territory, not to the people of British Southern Cameroons, but to the United Nations.
Exactly.
In other words, it is to the United Nations that the United Kingdom was answerable for its administration, good or bad, of this territory. And that is why periodically you had the UN
visiting missions,
send missions, to the territory for the people from New York, or at least mandated by New York, even if they came from another country, to come to the territory on mission to verify what the administrative authority was doing on the basis of a number of items that were listed, and during the trusteeship period, a number of those missions were effected, and reports were written, submitted to the trusteeship council, ultimately became the substance of discussion at the General Assembly, and so on and so forth. So that machinery was there. It was a UN machinery, and through the implementation of that machinery, the United Nations came to the determination in 1961 that the French Cameroon was henceforth independent, effective the 1st of January 1960, when it got its independence from I was going to say from France, although
But
technically it wasn't even from France.
It's
because
from the
it was
UN.
a colony of France.
Yes.
Exactly, it was a colony of France. But the UN ended the trusteeship agreement between itself and France over French Cameroon, effective 1st of January 1960. And for the same UN, they consider the trusteeship arrangement as having ended with respect to the British Southern Cameroons.
Oh no,
on the 1st of October
Dr. Simon Munzu,
1961.
you cannot say that.
That is why you find that. That's why you find that in the famous General Assembly Resolution 1608.
Yes.
15 of I think 21st of April 1961. Yeah, there's a paragraph in there, I think 4 or 5, which explicitly says that all the arrangements that the parties have to make to give effect to implement the decision taken by the people of British Southern Cameroon on the 11th of February to join the Republic of Cameroon, all those arrangements and the discussions that are held within that framework have to be completed
before.
So on the 21st of April 1961, the UN General Assembly said those arrangements have to be completed by the 1st of October 1961.
So what?
The day on which, and it was even said the day on which Southern Cameroon will become independent. It said the day on which the trusteeship agreement
would be
between
terminated.
The United Nations and Great Britain and the United Kingdom, the administrative authority, will end. That's how it is formulated.
Yes.
So anyone, any dreamer who sits down and starts pushing this rhetoric of this unfinished business,
yes,
unfinished decolonization, blah blah blah.
Dr. Munzu,
wasting our people's time, because by doing that they are diverting us as a people.
Thank you.
Who are still at an internal level. We still have, we still have things to fight for at an internal level, but they are diverting us
attention
and our attention and our energies from that domestic fight. Not fight by violence, but fight by properly assembling our evidence on our claim,
and politically,
and getting the commitment and the buy-in of our population, so that they support it. And who knows, if the international community or pockets of it were to see that this is a cause that is supported by the people, they may well find ways of providing, of lending a hand and providing a support to lead us to where what we want, wholly or in part. But instead of that, we are wasting our time and giving the establishment in Yaoundé the basis to say that, well, we are fighting to keep our country one. We are fighting people who are killing people. We are fighting terrorists and all of that. Why give them that pretext? We have given them that pretext, and they're using it, and using it well.
Just like the thing is, it's so surprising, as it was in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, and we continue doing exactly the same thing.
Exactly, so it is now.
As you have articulated, you actually mentioned, you said that it was greed, selfishness, lack of organization. I like that. That's what you said, and I wrote it down. The lack of organization.
Just like that. Let me give you a simple little example. Just like now, illustrating the same phenomenon. In the build-up to this last presidential election, the titles, you would have noticed that there were many prominent players amongst Anglophones on social media to scream how the time has come. The time has come for an Anglophone president.
That was only about 3 months before the election.
Before the election, exactly. The time has come. The time has come for an Anglophone president. And I asked those of them who interacted with me, I said, wait a minute. Okay, we all would want that 60 years or more into the establishment of this country that we call Cameroon today,
yes,
born of the coming together of two territories,
an Anglophone
it is
should
only
ascend.
legitimate that the people of one of the territories should expect that 60 years or so later, they too should have a president from their territory, okay?
Yes.
So it's a legitimate aspiration.
Yes. But by what
how
mechanism?
Exactly. How do you bring that about? How do you bring that about?
And what is the groundwork to make that happen?
Yeah, the present constitution and the present electoral law do not create a mechanism for that to happen. And so what are you going to do? Are you going to tell all Francophones and say, in 2025, all of you should desist from presenting your candidacies and allow only Anglophones to present? No, the way to do it is for you to spring up an Anglophone who is able, by virtue of his or her political agenda, draw the support of Anglophones and Francophones in this country and get that person elected. That's how you get your Anglophone president.
That's it.
But if you think that you are going to sit back and just expect everybody else to fold their arms, and it didn't happen. This is the irony of it.
Mm-hmm.
Given that as a starting position, when push came to shove, what did we observe?
They actually
Anglophones who were
endorsing Chiroma.
Articulate, calling for an Anglophone presidency.
They were endorsing Chiroma.
They went on to campaign for Francophone candidates when there were 2 or 3 Anglophone candidates in the field, in the running.
But then again, Dr. Simon Munzu, you have to understand, take for example what happened in the last presidential election in 2018. Was it 2018 or whenever it was? It was 2018. Another Anglophone, for example, Pamuna, a few hours, I wouldn't even say days, it was hours before the election, said that, no, don't vote for me.
Mm-hmm.
And did exactly the same thing in 2025 again.
In 2025, yeah.
So the political party that, supported him, he ran, using that political party, they actually, you know what? Yeah. That's not even the point of this conversation. Let's please focus. We've digressed a little bit. So, Dr. Moon, we have digressed. So let's go back to the point what we were talking about. So you mentioned Resolution 1608 even before I mentioned it, and you mentioned paragraph 4 and 5. Yes, in your learned experience, because Resolution 1608 is actually very short. It's only 5 paragraphs, and paragraph 4 is divided into A and B, which deals with Northern Cameroon and Southern Cameroon. Looking at those 5 paragraphs, which of those paragraphs do you think, or would you say, is the most consequential that we should pay more attention to? Because I ask this question because many Anglophones, especially those SNC and the separatist camps, lay so much emphasis on the last paragraph, paragraph 5. And I'll come to give you my own assessment or debate on argument on why I think paragraph 5 is not even very important. Because to me, paragraph 4 is the crucial part of the whole of that resolution, because that is where a decision is made by the body that held the trusteeship agreement over the territory, that basically owned the territory. That's when they decided, because they said in paragraph 4, they said the General Assembly decides that, and then goes on to list how the trusteeship agreement was going to be terminated. But yet you get our people hang on for dear life on paragraph 5. And then you get those who look at paragraph 5 and they start saying union treaty, union treaty, union treaty. Where do they read the word union treaty in paragraph 5?
Yeah, no, again, I've followed that during the past, especially during this past 10 years.
I heard Barrister Hamni Bobga talking about union treaty, union treaty. Where did he get that from?
Yeah, well, I mean that has become their mantra. They sing it. They sing it on morning, afternoon, evening. 12 months is a year, and now for 10 years.
Nothing is changed.
Nothing. But and what is distressing for me personally is that, as you pointed out, that posture is encouraged by lawyers who should know better.
Educated people, thank you.
Who should know better. That renowned and well-established legal practitioners, or renowned and well-established academics in the legal arena who maintain that illusion. Now, but you asked me about as you say, the resolution. It's very short, just 5 paragraphs, as you pointed out, and you say which are important. I would say that paragraphs 4 and 5 are critically important, but we are not to discountenance the preceding 3 or the first 3 paragraphs, because you see the first 3 lay the ground for 4 and 5, and what is most salient, most important in 1, 2, and 3 put together is the fact that, contrary to separatists who are saying that the work of decolonizing southern Cameroons has not ended, you find here in the first 3 paragraphs the United Nations General Assembly taking cognizance of the reports of the plebiscite
commissioner,
on the conduct of the plebiscite of 11th of February 1961 in the territory of the British Southern Cameroons
and Northern Cameroons,
and goes on to I think it's congratulate the commissioner and his staff on the job well done. But over and above that, it goes on to the United Nations General Assembly goes on to take note that the people of the Southern Cameroons made their choice
by an overwhelming majority.
By overwhelming majority, but also in a free, fair, and so on and so forth. So all these observations of this is what the General Assembly observed and took note of prior to even coming to the operative paragraphs 4 and 5.
Yes, but then that's what I'm saying. All of those is a preamble acknowledging this, thanking that. That's not important.
Yeah, exactly. So
what is important is the decision they make after that.
Yeah. So in the light of that very explicit, acknowledgement by the United Nations that the plebiscite of 1961 was well conducted, that the people made their choice and made it freely, and so on and so forth, you cannot expect between 2016 and 2026, and perhaps even going forward, expect to go to New York and reopen the dossier when they conclude that the plebiscite was well organized. Now, on the basis of that, they then come to paragraphs 4 and 5. Now, in paragraph 4, the General Assembly, points out, or rather takes cognizance of the fact that the two plebiscites, one in Northern Cameroons, British Northern Cameroons, and one in British Southern Cameroons, were organized separately, and that they have led to separate results, separate outcomes. Okay?
Yes.
They led to separate outcomes. Therefore, going forward, you need separate mechanisms to give effect to the choice of each of those territories within the framework of that plebiscite. And when it comes to the Northern Cameroons, paragraph 4 specifically states that the Northern Cameroons will become a part of become a province
in northern
in the northern region of Nigeria, in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That the territory will become a province in northern Nigeria with effect from the 1st of June
1961.
1961, the day on which the trusteeship agreement between the United Kingdom and the United Nations over that territory will end. Okay? And why is this so? This is because as at the 21st of April 1961, when the UN General Assembly was taking that resolution, it had received all the information that it needed concerning what the parties, namely the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria
and Northern Cameroon
as administrative authority, and the Northern Cameroons
and the British,
what they had agreed would happen to the Northern Cameroons when they implement the choice of the Northern Cameroons to join Nigeria. And in summary, it was that the Northern Cameroons would become a province
in northern Nigeria,
the northern region of Nigeria. So it was as of 21st of April 1961.
It was clear.
That was a done deal, and
yes.
That is why they took that decision regarding. But the evidence before the same commission the same General Assembly, as at that 21st of April 1961, was that the parties concerned with giving effect to the decision of the population of British Southern Cameroons to get independent by joining La République, the parties concerned have not yet finalized
the agreement,
finalized their deliberations, their discussions, their negotiations as to how to implement this choice.
And then now some people come in 2016 and say that it was a union treaty that they were asking for.
That is why the General Assembly charged those three parties, the three protagonists.
Yes.
The administrative authority.
Yes.
The government of Southern Cameroons and the United Nations to sit together, continue their discussions, negotiations on the arrangements that are to be made for giving effect to the decision of 11 February 1961.
Okay, but
and that opened the way. That opened the way for
the Fumban conference,
succeeding negotiations and meetings that took place from May. That's May of 1961, right through to August.
Okay.
Beyond July of the Fumban conference.
Dr. Munzu, sorry.
1961.
I'm trying to cut you short and ask a question because I know exactly why I'm asking this. You said there were discussions, plural, that happened.
Yes.
Okay. In May 1961, just a few weeks after the resolution came out, there was a meeting. Yes. Where did that meeting take place?
In Buea.
Okay. And who attended the meetings?
In Buea, of course, you had the Southern Cameroon's government. You had the United Kingdom as administrative authority through their local representative in Buea.
J.O. Fields,
where they had a commissioner.
Yes. Okay. You've answered my question.
And you had representatives of the government of the Republic of Cameroon.
Okay, you've answered my question. You know why I asked that question, and I know you know.
Mm-hmm.
Because Anglophones have been telling this lie that the British were not there. The British were not there. The British were not in Fumban. So because the British were not in
They
Fumban,
don't seem to understand that. But all they need to do is look at the wording of Section 1608.
they look at it, they even invent their own words and add it there. Say Union Treaty.
The language used by the resolution, and language matters in these things.
They say invites.
In that resolution, the operative paragraph 5, which is the one that concerns us most here, the United Nations General Assembly invited.
Yes.
Right?
Invited.
It invites and it names them.
Administering authority.
Yes.
The government of Southern Cameroon.
Those three were invited
to have what? Urgent discussions.
To finalize arrangements. And the discussions that they were going to have were not going to be from that 21st of April. It was the Security Council, the United General Assembly knew, based on the reports that it had received all along, that the parties had been discussing.
But they had not finalized their discussions.
Exactly. Even before the plebiscite was held.
Yeah, there had been discussions.
The Federal Republic of Nigeria told the people of Southern Cameroon what would happen if they were to choose to join Nigeria, and told them what they were prepared to concede if the people and so on. By the same token, the authorities, Ahijo and others in Republic of Cameroon, outlined. It was all in outlined what would happen if the decision of the population of the people of Southern Cameroon went in favor of Republic of Cameroon. So those initial indications of what would happen were there. And it is those initial indications that went into the production of the pre-plebiscite document issued by the United Nations, which was used as campaign material by both sides. The document that was called the two alternatives.
Yes.
Okay? The two alternatives captured what Nigeria was
offering, and what Cameroon was offering.
The plebiscite.
Yes.
And by the same token, it captured what the Republic of Cameroon was offering. It also, but as at the 21st of April 1961, the evidence before the General Assembly was that, unlike Northern Cameroon, where things had been concluded, for the Southern Cameroon, things had not yet been finalized. Arrangement had not been finalized. So they said, invited those three parties to go back to work and finalize the arrangement. But then they said, we give you, whatever you do, make sure that by the 1st of October 1961, it's done.
Okay.
Because that is the day on which
you join. And the trusteeship agreement is terminated. Okay, Pa. The next question.
There was no question of going to bring a union treaty, blah, blah, blah. A union treaty, you would expect a union treaty in situations where, for example, Gambia and Senegal,
two sovereign states.
There are two sovereign states which negotiated, each from the position of an independent sovereign state, an agreement.
Dr. Munzu, sorry to interrupt again. Do you know that the vast majority of our people, especially these so-called separatists, even lawyers, do not know the meaning of the word a sovereign state? They don't know.
Yeah, they talk of government.
Yes.
I mean, the word government does not on its own denote sovereignty. No.
Exactly.
This
is why it's so difficult. It's so difficult to educate our people. For example, the state of Enugu has a government. Doesn't mean it's a sovereign state.
In a federation such as we have in Nigeria today, or for that matter, we had in Cameroon before. You had the government of
West Cameroon.
The government of West Cameroon. You even have local governments in the Anglo-Saxon usage.
Yes.
In Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and so on. you're told about there's references to the local government, right?
But they think when you say government like that, it means it's a country.
Running a district, the government of the district. So the word government does not automatically denote
a sovereign nation.
It's not a sovereign nation.
Okay, no. Dr. Simon Munzu, one more question. Talking about this union treaty thing again, you have those who adamantly insist that the British were not there. The paragraph 5 said that the British have to be there and I have heard even John Foncha made this statement, and I believe he only made that statement to cover for his own ineptitude at the Fumban Constitutional talks, that the British made excuses and were not there in Fumban. But but then again, like you have articulated, it was not just one talk, it was not just one conference, it was not just one meeting. Before the plebiscite, there were discussions, right? Which involved the British.
Yeah, no, before, there were.
Yes.
And in terms of the, let's not lose sight of the fact that in inviting these protagonists, these stakeholders,
yes,
to initiate
urgent discussions
and finalize the arrangements, the United Nations did not impose upon them, did not dictate to them the level and modalities of representation.
Exactly. Then again, it's an invitation. You can attend one meeting, you may not attend the other one, or you can send a delegate, or you may not even be present. There was no, okay, now the question I wanted to ask is, if there were no meetings after Resolution 1608 was passed in April, no meetings happened between the three parties, no agreed policies happened, nothing happened, would Southern Cameroon still have effectively joined on the 1st of October?
If those meetings did not happen,
yes,
the Southern Cameroons would not have effectively joined on the 1st of October.
Why not?
The Southern Cameroons, not only the Southern Cameroons, but also Republic of Cameroon, and for that matter, the United Kingdom as administrative authority, would have had to report back to the General Assembly to say, well, we know that you said we should finish this thing before the 1st of October, but for this or that and that reason, we've not done it. What the General Assembly would do in that situation would be to see whether there is room to extend the deadline that these people were given.
Fantastic.
But these people were given a deadline.
Thank you for that clarification.
They worked to respect that deadline.
Yes, and by that explanation, you're telling us that the fact that the United Nations did not give any further extensions was because those meetings happened. The British reported to the United Nations, right?
Yeah.
And the United Nations took cognizance of the fact that the trusteeship agreement had been terminated.
Yeah.
Case closed.
It did. And in connection with that, another thing that I've heard separatists say, whether out of bad faith or ignorance, is they say, for example, that on the 30th of September 1961, the attributes of independence of the Southern Cameroons were handed by the British, not to Foncha, the Prime Minister, but to Ahidjo.
It is just ignorance.
Once again, that comes from a lack of understanding of
ignorance.
The mechanics of this thing. Just ignorance, because here's the thing: Southern Cameroons was to become independent
by joining.
By joining. So it was from the date of joining that Southern Cameroons became independent, and it became independent by joining. So prior to that, Her Majesty's government was not dealing with an independent state or to which you hand the attributes of
sovereignty.
Independence. Yeah. Of sovereignty. If they had said, if the arrangement had been that, for example,
they will gain independence and then they will negotiate their joining
on the 30th of September,
and then negotiate joining.
And then negotiate even for a few hours and they join.
Exactly, but that didn't happen.
They have that negotiated federation established on the 1st of October. Maybe that would have, but here is a situation where unlike what happened in other decolonization situations, you know, the attributes of sovereignty with respect to the previous, trust territory of the Southern Cameroons was to be handed over to the person who
wielded the sovereignty of the nation.
By virtue of the arrangements between the parties, was now the person who, quote unquote, incarnates the sovereignty of this new territory, this new country.
Okay.
Effective 1st of October 1961.
Dr.
So there's all that confusion, and it is, again, as I said earlier, it is regrettable that when it comes to discussing issues that are perhaps not exactly straightforward, that may be complicated, that are too technical, and so on and so forth, our people prefer not to listen to the experts. At that point, everybody becomes an expert. Everybody becomes an expert. Everybody has an opinion. Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Munzu. So, starting to record the last part of this conversation because I need to go to bed. It's about 3:15 in the morning.
I wonder why you chose to.
Yes, I honestly.
I've been concerned for you.
Yes, I honestly did not think we're going to talk for this long, but obviously talking to you, I can go on forever. So now let me summarize based on what we've talked about. We talked about the abrogation of the Federal Constitution. We talked about our own views and opinions on the text in the Federal Constitution in Article 47, the referendum itself, and then some mistakes that were made by our own people. And you articulated that some of them were actually greedy, selfish, and they lacked organization. And we have actually agreed and concluded that the lack of organization persists till today. So our people were not organized and they were not united in the 50s, in the 60s, the 70s, and we are repeating exactly the same mistakes today. Would you agree to that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Now, you've also mentioned something that I want to bring attention to other people. Maybe they did not hear it. You said President Ahmadou Ahidjo methodically enlarged his authority over years. So from 1960, the 1st of January, he became head of state of the territory that used to be French Cameroon. On the 1st of October 1961, that whole country was dissolved, basically ceased to exist and became East Cameroon, and a new country was born called the Federal Republic of Cameroon, and he was head of state. He continued to enlarge his authority. By 1966, became the only political party, the leader of the only political party in the country. And by 1972, 11 years into the federation, he decided to put the question in a referendum to seek the opinion of the people.
Even before that, just as an aside, even before that,
yes,
the manifestation of gradual enlargement of his authority.
Yeah.
Under the Constitution, the Federal Constitution of 1st of October 1961.
Yeah.
The president of the Republic, of the Federal Republic, had constitutional power to appoint
and
the
sack
prime ministers of the Federated States.
Yes, but then
and ministers of the Federated States on the proposal of the prime ministers.
Yes.
So you see.
So, but then, Dr. Munzu, this is not him enlarging his authority. This was authority he got right from the 1st of October 1961. It was not by amendment to the Constitution that he got those powers. Those powers were negotiated by Jongo Foncha, E.M.L. Endele, and S.T. Muna while they were still a British or a trust territory. They negotiated this in the Constitution.
Yeah, that's correct. Yes.
Exactly. And this is what baffles me. These people, because in 1954, 57, and I think 59, they traveled to London for constitutional conferences to learn how to draft constitutions. I mean, John Foncha, Endele, and the rest. Everything they learned, how to draft constitutions, how to run a country. Apparently, as you mentioned, Anglophones would boast how we were the first democratic territory in Africa. We had Kwasi, this and that, all of that. And all of that experience, what did we show for it? How did we use that experience and knowledge? Now, let me ask you a question, because this is also a bone of contention, and people bring this up a lot about the Fumban Constitutional talks. Is it true, according to your knowledge, that President Ahmadu Ahidjo prepared a draft constitution and brought it to the Fumban Constitutional Conference? It's a simple yes or no.
For what I know, no.
So what did he bring?
But you have to allow the answer to be more nuanced than that.
Absolutely, go on.
Because again, from what I know, prior to Fumban itself, Ahidjo had sent a draft constitution, the one that we're going to discuss in Fumban, had sent it to the West Cameroon government. So they were supposed to, the KNDP and its government were to have used that draft to prepare. That's why you find that there are some opposition, there are accounts of opposition, West Cameroon opposition politicians, again notably Mbile, Waleta, and so on, who decried the fact that Foncha had that document, but he did away from them. I did not allow for it to be discussed, even when they held what was supposed to be a pre-Fumban constitutional meeting in Mamfe. Okay, yes. So, and these are accounts coming from contemporaries. So, from what I understand, when they arrived in Fumban, the expectation was that they would simply engage a discussion on exchanging views on areas that they agree with and areas that they don't agree with, and so on and so forth. But when members of their delegation expressed the view that they were seeing for the first time the draft that Ahidjo prepared, so that's where they said, okay, you guys, instead of it being a joint session now, right from the beginning, we'll give you guys 2-3 days. You sit back and study it, and then we can have a plenary session. And the other thing, the other thing is that people try to express, especially separatists and all, express how shall I call it now? Is it displeasure or whatever? And the fact that Ahidjo came with a draft. Come on, I mean, let's face it. There is a country that accedes to sovereignty on the 1st of January, 1961. It
1960.
It puts itself a constitution in, I think, February or March, because incidentally, the Republic of Cameroon became independent without even having a constitution.
Yes, it was March 1960 that they passed.
But March 1960, yes. Right. So they have, from March of 1960, they have their constitution. They are a sovereign state. In September of that year, they are admitted to the United Nations as a full member of the United Nations.
Yes.
So when in October of 61, a year later, you decide in a plebiscite administered in your territory without their participation, without them voting in it, you decide to get independent by joining them. What do you expect to happen? yes, you go into negotiations to work out the terms of this union, but you also go into those negotiations knowing full well that you are negotiating with people who already have their constitution, they already have their flag, they already have their, their emblems of government.
And a seat at the United Nations.
They have a seat at the United Nations. So it's not like one sovereign state sitting opposite another sovereign state and saying,
or two territories sitting together. No.
You have voted to join us when we are an independent sovereign state with all our attributes, including our constitution. Now you have come to join us, but we are going to be forced to modify our constitution
to accommodate
to take account of the fact that you're joining us. So and that was precisely the perspective of the government of the Republic. Is that unreasonable?
But then again, that is not unreasonable at all. That is very reasonable. But now here is the question that I would like to pose, and this is what baffles me, because the people who advance these arguments that you've just mentioned would like for you to believe that there were two equal entities coming together. That of course, we both know that they were not equal. We've just articulated why they were not equal. One was sovereign, a seat at the United Nations, had a flag, and a national anthem, national assembly, its constitution, and all of those things. And the other territory did not have any of those. But then the territory that you claimed that was equal to them, the territory that was going to join, how were they prepared? How did they prepare for this very important nation-building exercise that was spelled out in paragraph 5? That you're inviting the administrative authority, the government of Southern Cameroon and the Republic of Cameroon to initiate urgent discussions. And the word urgent is mentioned there. Initiate urgent discussions with a view to finalizing. What were the plans and what were the preparations from our own leaders from West Cameroon to make sure that they were prepared for those urgent discussions to defend their interests? I'm not even worried about the interests of people like myself, the poor, the downtrodden, the interests of Southern Cameroon, but their own personal interests. Besides going there to acquire two positions for themselves, they actually agreed for the constitution to say that the president can appoint and fire the prime minister of West Cameroon. They agreed to that. They agreed to it from the onset.
They agreed to that. That you can appoint the prime minister of West Cameroon. That you can appoint the secretaries of state who were members of government of West Cameroon.
And at this time, they had leverage because they had the British, they had the United Nations to speak for them as sort of like the big brother. And they refused to use that leverage. They went there in the talks that happened in Bamenda, in Boya, in Fumban, and in Yaoundé, because talks also happened in Yaoundé.
Yes,
that's when
talks happened in Yaoundé in August.
Yes, in August. That's when the final constitution was put together.
That's when the final. And you see, I don't know whether we're talking on the record of the cuff, but as a matter of fact, when you read, it's true that all this happened, but when you read the Constitution, the Federal Constitution, by and large, West Cameroon didn't do that badly in terms of what they were able to obtain.
Yes, okay. Dr. Munzu, you made a very important point, and this is what I was getting towards before we digressed again. Because, like you said, they didn't do too badly because they had the veto power in the Constitution in Article 47.
Yes.
They had a few provisions that would have safeguarded themselves, which is good. But then, like you said about Amadou Ahidjo, that he methodically enlarged his authority. So it doesn't really matter where you start from. What matters is where you end.
Yeah.
You see, but then this is.
Look at a seismic change that by virtue of you in your territory of the Southern Cameroons opting to get independence by joining the Republic of Cameroon, when you could have opted to get independence by joining Nigeria, you opted to get independence by joining the Republic of Cameroon, and you did. But for that reason, the sovereign country called Republic of Cameroon ceased to exist.
Yes, it's a big deal.
The magnitude of that? Ceased to exist and became simply the federated state of East Cameroon at par, if you like, equal status with you. You know, you have your government, your regional, your state, federal state government. They have theirs. You have your federal assembly. They have theirs, and there's no place, there's nowhere, no provision in.
Hello. Oh, I don't know what's happening. Hello? Let me call back. Okay, my contributor them. I believe say Dr. Simon Munzu, your phone don't surely go off. Maybe your battery don't die. Because we don't need talk for quite a long time, and even me, I don't tire now. About 3:30 for morning time, I have to go to bed now. Thank you, plenty my contributor them. I hope so. When I don't learn one or two things them from these work conversations, we continue for educate ourselves about our true history, so that we could make progress, so that we avoid for make the mistakes them where our forebears they make them like Anglophone, Muna them. Augustine Gomjoa them, so that we will avoid those mistakes them and we will feel progress. Like how Dr. Simon Munzu talk say, President Amadou Ahidjo methodically enlarged the authority over a period of time. Within just 11 years of the Federation, they get more than enough authority for dismantle the Federation. How much power and authority did our own leaders from Southern Cameroon or West Cameroon methodically enlarge to themselves? None. Instead, what they do now say, they systematically give up their powers them small to President Amadou Ahidjo until it become too big and too powerful for any person for fit even ask you a question. And then when those things that happen, we start cry. But now we do them to ourselves by our own political immaturity, naivety, but most importantly, infighting. So now the disease for Anglophones and that, infighting. And now why that way, we continue with the infighting till today. We never learn a single lesson. From the infighting of Jongo Foncha and Endele them in the 50s and 60s, to the infighting of these so-called Amazonians, the way they carry weapons for 2016 to 2026. Anglophones killing Anglophones. Anglophones fighting against Anglophones. Dr. Simon Munzu, they call me back. Hello?
Oh, sorry, my phone ran out of juice.
I thought so. That's why I was actually just.
But it's back on now.
Yes.
So maybe I won't talk about much. I won't keep it much longer. But I was saying that I mean, it is remarkable that apart from the fact that the Republic of Cameroon lost its statehood status, lost its sovereignty, and became simply a component of something larger called the Federal Republic of Cameroon, a new sovereign state. There is also the fact that nowhere in the Constitution of the Federal Republic is the federated state of East Cameroon treated any better in any respect than the federated state of West Cameroon, except in the matter of representation in the Federal Assembly, which was based on the fact that
the population size.
One parliamentarian per 80,000 of the population.
Yeah.
They worked out that the West Cameroon population deserves 10 representatives, 10 parliamentarians, and East Cameroon deserved 40. And the figures which they used significantly
from the UN.
They used as specified were UN figures. They were not Republic of Cameroon figures. So I mean, all in all, the West Cameroon did not come up that badly. If they had only had the astuteness to stand by what had been agreed and told Ahidjo, you cannot deviate from this thing, and then as a bloc they all stand in that position, it would have been fantastic, but they did not do that because of their own internal ranking, as we said earlier.
Yes, it's unfortunate. So, Dr. Simon Munzu, I want to take this opportunity to thank you so much for giving me your time, over 2.5 hours of discussions. I've learned a lot, and I hope I have also impressed on you my own opinions. Yeah. And
no, you have. The two salient points, amongst others, but the ones that stand out. Yes, I concede the point you made. I hadn't seen it like that before, but I see in terms of Ahidjo did not even need to recourse to referendum, and also it is the final operative mechanism came from the fact that the Constitution was actually submitted as a bill before Parliament.
It did
after the referendum.
Yes.
So it is in the discussion of that bill that the West Cameroon politicians
they should have known better.
Should have brought paragraph 3 or 4 of Article 47 into play.
Or they should have made the same safeguards that Article 47 gave them. They should have sought to put it back in the Unitary Constitution.
In the Unitary Constitution, exactly.
Yeah, but they did nothing. They just willingly. I mean, let us be, because when I talk about these things, I get almost as emotional as the separatists, but I try not to lose my cool, because I see a people losing every ounce of power they had deliberately, willingly, like they were doing it they were sleepwalking into it. It was happening all in front of them, because every single safeguard, every single power, every single thing we walked into the Federation with, we gave it up. Yeah. We get without a single ounce of even a fight, because let's assume, as you say, and you're right, by this time after 1966, President Ahmadou Ahidjo had amassed all the power in the Federation unto himself. Yes, we are already in this situation, we are already in this quagmire right now, but there were still some powers that existed. For example, the power that an elected parliamentarian cannot be fired or sacked by the head of state. Cannot. Even till today, in the CPDM, which is almost like a one-party state in Cameroon anyways, the CPDM parliamentarian cannot be fired by the executive committee member. It cannot. It's only by mandate of the people. So once you are elected to serve a mandate, to serve a term. Is it our greed and selfishness that says that we cannot use that term to maximum effect? Must you have a second term? Don't worry about the second term. Worry about this term that you have now. You cannot be fired. You are there to vote and make decisions on behalf of the people. So do that. So go there and say, like you articulated in 1995. And at that time, I think the small mistake you made was that there were 10 parliamentarians or members of the Federal National Assembly in 1972. From my research, by that time it had doubled. So there were 100 members in the National Assembly, in the Federal National Assembly, and 20 were from West Cameroon by 1972. If just 11 of them had voted against President Ahmadou Ahidjo's constitution, we would still have a federation, a federal republic today. If just 11 of them. They did not need, why must you kowtow? And you see this idea of father of the federation, father of the nation. And with this African way of reasoning, you can never go against father. Father knows all, father knows best. So you cannot go against the father. These are some of the cultural things that are taking us backwards. Challenge your father.
Yeah.
Ask questions to your father. Are you sure what you're doing is right? Are you sure? No, I disagree. Yes, father is even in the father of the nation. The father can be wrong.
Yeah.
As in this case with President Amadu Ayejo dismantling the federal constitution and all of those things, it wronged the people from West Cameroon. But because of our culture, you don't question father. You don't question the elder. The elder. You don't. So I am CNU parliamentarian. So I just have to do what Ahijo says. Do they not know that?
It still irks us till now because listen. When I was back in 2017, when I fought hard to get us to have a national conference on the Anglophone problem, which I said should be preceded by a preparatory meeting of Anglophones.
I remember.
Now, one of the things, the starting point for me naturally was parliamentarians. I said, you are the ones elected by the people. You have a mandate from the people. So you can go, you should address a memo to Mr. Biya requesting him to convene a national conference on the Anglophone problem, given all what is happening there now in the Northern and Southwest. But in the meantime, inform him that you are going to, as representatives of the people, are going to convene a preparatory conference. Now, I went to Yaoundé. I spent a whole week, the parliament was in session, talking to every individual Anglophone member of National Assembly and senator. And now, when I got to, I started, in fact, with the CPDM caucus. I started with, I went straight to the late Emilia Lifaka, who was de facto leader of the Anglophones in Parliament. So I went to her, presented my project. Oh, she said, "Oh, Dr. Munzu, this is really brilliant. This is so good. Yeah, this is what we need." Blah 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 blah. I said, "But you know what? I cannot do. We in the CPDM cannot do anything without the approval of our hierarchy."
Just imagine. Hey,
Yeah.
Cameroon.
I said, "Madam, who's your hierarchy? So you mean that all these killings that are going on, it wasn't even that in those were the early hours?"
No, but then the thing is,
I said, all these killings that are going on in the Northern and Southwest, you, the people, parliamentarians representing the population of North and Southwest, in order for you to express your opinion about this, ask the president to do something, you have to get the authority of that same president. Yeah, so that's how it works up to this day.
you see, this is the unique system we have built in our country, and I don't think it exists anywhere else. The politics in Cameroon is unique in that way. We have built a country of the father of the nation, where we deliberately give all our powers to one person and then sit back and wait and expect that person to solve all our problems for us.
Yeah, and one is seeing it in embryonic ways. Even in see what's happening with Chiroma. Right? Chiroma came from nowhere. What happened, but the way people in this firmament are talking is as if it is the beginning of the Ahijo Biya syndrome all over again.
Exactly. There is when I look at them, I say, is this the person you call the change agent?
Yeah, the agent. That's a change agent.
I don't see the change.
That's what it, yeah.
Where is the change?
Okay, listen, man. It's late. It must be very, very late for you now.
It is.
It's about 4 getting 5 o'clock.
It's getting 4 o'clock now. It's 20 minutes to 4.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Have some rest. I'm a senior citizen. I can go, if I go to bed at 2 o'clock, I can sleep the rest of the following morning.
Tomorrow is well, today Monday is my day off, so I have one or two things to work on my car, and then I'll probably do this our audio recordings. I'll put them in some kind of a video format and share, even if it's 100 people that get to listen and watch, and hopefully they'll pick one or two things from there. But then again, before I go, I wanted to go on.
No, I wasn't saying. In fact, I decided that I was happening. I was relatively quiet during this whole election period. So I came to the conclusion that continuing on all these discussions and so.
Okay. Yes.
So what I've decided to do.
That's good.
Devote some time to writing.
Mm-hmm.
Something that people can draw from or draw on in their discussions, in their grappling with these issues, even after I'm gone. Yeah.
That would be the greatest gift you can give us.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I had something of a front row seat.
Sorry, your volume is very low. I don't know what's going on.
The volume. Okay.
Yes, it's better now.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe I was far from the speaker.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I was something of an observer around this my senior people. I observed the Fonchas, the Munas, the Joas, and all of that of this world, because the Bernard Mukong, the Bernard Fonlong, and so on, they were always gravitating around my late uncle Nzoe Kangaki. So as a young man, I got a chance to peep into their conversations and all of that, and got a sense of some of this stuff. Then I became active, in the one-party days, joined the CNU as a YCNU member when I was in Casbambele, and then when they brought the section in Cameroon, in the UK, we were the people who formed the section, the Great Britain section of the CPDM, and then I got to the point where, in my own right, I became a national player on these issues. So, in various contexts, in the context of the one party context as the parashik at the Central Committee, there where I was first chargé de mission and then National Secretary for Economic and Social Affairs of the Central Committee, and then through my sympathies with the opposition and so on and so forth. So. And came this phase about the rekindling of Anglophone nationalism through the demands for a return to the federal system of government and so on. So I've had the opportunity to roll in the mud, as it were, at each of these phases, and I think that maybe I should sit down and devote some time to putting my thoughts together and leaving them out there for those who may want to use them for future fights.
I will definitely be one of those who would buy and read your book. And we look forward to it. Dr. Simon Munzu, it would be a pleasure. And it would be a national archive, which, many our African people don't write often, and even when you write, they don't read. If you want to hide information from our people, you just put it in a book.
They don't read. No, if I were to implement that project, yes, of course, the book would have to be accompanied these days. It would have to be accompanied by an audio version. Yeah.
Yes. Don't you worry about that. We'll worry about the audio versions, and we'll worry about some of us will make sure that the message gets out exactly as you
Gets
intended,
out.
in the words that you
Right.
wanted to go out. Um, Talking about a return to the federal form of government in Cameroon, this is my opinion to that. I think it is possible, but not just yet. I think the whole country is not there yet. Just like you mentioned about President Amadu Ahidjo using a methodological way, enlarging his authority methodically, sort of like you go from step 1 to 2 to 3 before you get to 7, 8, 9. So the process has to be put in, and it has to be put in by those who see a benefit in Cameroon returning to a federal form of government, those who would benefit from it, those who champion it. And like you mentioned earlier, unfortunately, some individuals have gone about it the wrong way by picking up guns, and they've sent us back a decade or more, maybe more than a decade in our advocacy. Now, here is my opinion about that. Just like President Amadu Ahidjo did it in 1972, we can do it. We may not have the powers he had, but that's why it will take us longer. It took him, even with all the powers he had, Amadu Ahidjo still took 11 years to affect it.
A long time, yeah.
Yes, because he took his time, he studied, he implemented strategies, he took advantage of circumstances, situations, and everything. And when the time was right, he made a move. Unfortunately for us, the time is not yet ripe for Cameroon to return to a federal form of government. At least not while President Paul Biya is still alive. The time is not right. But then that is not to say that those who want to see Cameroon return to a federal form of government should not do the work that is required. The work has to start.
That is why that's why I collaborated so closely with Prime Minister John Gute when he invited me to work with some of his part of his team to prepare the major national dialogue, because at that time he gave the impression that the president has given him the go-ahead and is prepared to countenance everything except federation and separation.
Yes, Dr. Munzu, sorry. Because when I listen to someone like Archbishop Anton Kea, yes, there are varying sort of like reports as to why what happened, what transpired at the Grand National Dialogue transpired the way it did. For example, the elites from the Southwest region categorically said they were not interested in a federation if it had anything to do with them being with the Northwesterners.
No, I think no. This year, in fact, there are ways in which I regret to say this, but there are ways in which personalities whom you expect to make the best contribution, because, or to begin with, they enjoy moral authority and leadership, but who do a disservice by misrepresenting a situation. No, I mean, I listened to what Bishop Kea said. There was no point at which Anglophones as Anglophones, for that matter, Southwesterners saying no, we cannot be in the federation with North. They didn't even get to that point. They didn't get to that point. So I don't know what he was talking about, because he was a member of the Commission on Decentralization. So were other many Anglophones.
Okay.
But once he puts it that way, he creates something that is being cited all over, and which just drives the nail deeper and deeper into this thing. No, I listened to what he said, and
yes.
I think at a personal level, I thought it was irresponsible, because that was not the case. It didn't happen that way.
Okay.
It didn't. But what I was trying to say was that, in fact, if the decentralization, including this special status thing, if they had given some sufficient substance, putting some sufficient substance to special status, that, as you say, would have been a first step that you can build on incrementally.
You know how,
but unfortunately,
Dr. Munzu, let me just interject. You know the way I see the Grand National Dialogue a special status. I don't think it went far enough to appease even the moderate Anglophones, let alone the radical. Yes, I personally don't think it went far enough. I personally don't think Anglophones, even the Anglophones who were there, did not fight enough to get much concessions. But that notwithstanding, that is still a concession.
Yeah, no, I agree. So in fact, I'm speaking to your point about incremental gains.
Yes. Now, talking about incremental gains, this is what I was about to say. Like you said, how President Ahmadu Ahijo used it and did it methodically and went step by step incremental gains. We can do the same as Anglophones, as Cameroonians, as people who want to implement a good democracy, development, and all of those things in the country. This is the analogy I use when it comes to special status. I use the special status not as the product or the items that Anglophones need or wanted to be able to exercise certain autonomy. It is not, but it is the container that they can use to go fetch that autonomy. That's how I see it. Because to me, I remember vividly when I was growing up in the village, and there were times when my mother went to the market and bought containers, literally empty containers, because we needed it for processing palm oil, so and carrying palm oil in it, or even fresh water. So there were families that were so poor that they did not even have containers to be able to carry water. So I see even an empty vessel, an empty container, as an asset. And as Anglophones have articulated, that the special status is a non-starter. Well, some Anglophones, let me not say Anglophones. Some Anglophones have said the special status is an empty container, it's a non-starter, all of those things. An empty container, but still a container, still valuable, still can be used to carry a content of something that you need or want. So to me, if we get an empty container today called a special status, now it is up to us, our elites, elected officials, parliamentarians, senators, mayors, civil society, the intelligentsia.
Exact pressure.
Thank you. For that container to be filled. For that container now to have, even if now one potato, we say, we can put that inside that container. If now one corn, one grain of rice, we put it in a container. That container called special status. If it's one mango, we put it in that container called special status and take it home and feed our families. That's what we can do with that. If the special status come today and say that because of this special status thing, we have the autonomy now to be able to elect our governors, are we not going to take it because it's called special status? Of course we would. So incremental gains is what I think. Just like how it took President Ahmadu Ahijo with all the powers he had, he still took his time. He methodically went ahead and gained more and more and more and more powers and authority to himself. Anglophones can start somewhere and then build up on that. But then the problem that I see all the time is when Anglophones start something and they start making gains, the next day you turn around and they've lost it all. The SDF came as a political party. The elections, they had 40 something parliamentarians, and then when the next election cycle came, they had 0, and today they have 5. You see, there is no incremental gain. So if there was incremental gain, okay, we start with let's say 41 parliamentarians in the National Assembly. You say to yourself, if the worst should happen, let's keep the 41. That's the worst case scenario. Let's not lose any. And best case scenario, in the next election, we add from 41, maybe we go to 43, or maybe we go to 47. And then the next one, we incremental. Before you know it, you control one branch of government. But because we don't do incremental, we only, do something, and then we lose it all. No strategy, no. And there's something else that you said earlier. What was it? Lack of organization. So there is that, and unless Anglophone. So the way I see it is that the only way for Cameroon to return to a federal form of government is when Federalists successfully convince the majority of the country to see the advantages in a federal form of government. So that grassroots work needs to be done at the political level, at the social level, at the even entertainment. So the generation that is probably going to bring a federal form of government in Cameroon is my age group. Those of us who were born after 1972. Yes, those of us who were born after 1970, those of us who all we've known is the Unitary.
Who can visualize? They can visualize the benefits of such a system.
Exactly, not just visualize it, but be able to articulate it. And this is one of the biggest problems I see when I talk to Anglophones. Anglophones are not able to articulate their problem in a sentence or a few short sentences. And also, when I talk to Anglophones, if I speak to about 4 or 5 Anglophones, I can have 4 or 5 different explanations as to what the Anglophone problem is, because it hasn't been properly articulated. People's just, they are all over the place, and then those who just use pure emotions, those who just lie, and sometimes they lie without knowing that they're repeating lies because they've been told it and they believe it. Those who lie to themselves and then internalize the lies and then believe their own lies and then regurgitate it. And unless we come back to a place where we're talking from reality and from a place where it is relatable with the rest of the country, we are going nowhere. If we keep talking about the Anglophone crisis as though the Francophone is a protagonist or an antagonist. Yes, and we are the victims. If we keep discussing it in that way, we just alienate them. The discussion has to be in a way that would be like explaining to the Francophones the benefits to the Francophone of having a federal form of government. We have to make them see the benefit in it, just like how Amadou Ayejo took his time to make Anglophones see the benefit in dismantling the federal form of government. To the point where even the Anglophones were dismantling it without knowing that they were doing something, because they were convinced, not with the power of the gun. President Amadou Ayejo did not even use his military or authority to do that. He used just the political situation at hand. Yes, to his advantage. So we can also use the political situation at hand and discuss these things. It could be engagement in communication strategies, in sensitization, in schools and everywhere else, just starting from a place where educating the masses of the benefits of a federal form of government. So the Francophones don't feel like, federation benefits Anglophone. It doesn't benefit us. Because at the moment, the argument revolves as though it's Anglophones that want federation. And truth, yes, and truth be told, the only reason why that country went into federation was because of the Anglophones coming to join.
Right.
So we were the cause of the federation. So now, and then we've made the argument sound as though federation is for Anglophones. So it doesn't benefit Francophones. It doesn't have because, as you have articulated, even in the Federal Constitution, the East Cameroon were not treated better than West Cameroon, and they had no political opposition. So they did not even feel the benefit of being in a federation. As far as they were concerned, as far as East Cameroon was concerned, it was just a continuity of a unitary state. They've never.
The unitary state, yeah.
So it is now. It is now if the Federalists want to win this argument, it will take another maybe 20 or 30 years. But then we need to start making the Francophones see the need or the importance or the advantages of a federal form of government in Cameroon. And if they don't see it, they will not buy it. And if they don't buy it, they are a majority.
They're a majority.
So what do we do?
Majority.
We keep talking to ourselves, screaming in the wilderness and going nowhere fast. So that is how I see Dr. Simon Munzu, and thank you so much for the education and conversation. It's always interesting talking to you.
Great, man. Okay. Take care now, and my best regards to the family. Take care.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
That is the end of the presentation, my country people. Today again is the 16th of February 2026. Time in the UK is just past 4 a.m. in the morning. I had to go sleep